Hi everyone, welcome back to N.O.A the Explorer. I am Dr. Akaranu and I am an adult, child, and adolescent psychiatrist currently working as a Locum Tenens physician, and I will continue talking about my work as a Locum Tenens psychiatrist. Please go back and watch the other videos and let me know if you have any questions as we continue on discussing Locum Tenens psychiatry work. If I ever feel like somebody's putting my license in danger, I will quit. And so that brings me to my next point, termination clauses. You need to review your contract thoroughly, especially your termination and exit clause, because that is single-handedly the most important part of your contract. How do I quit? How do I quit on good terms? What happens after I quit? My malpractice coverage, what liability do I have when I quit? How do you handle the transfer of my patients, etc., etc., etc. You need to discuss this. I think a lot of times in contracts, people focus so much on pay and benefits and like, oh, this is my dream job. I'm so happy. And the reality is 1 in 3 people quit their first jobs within a year. People quit all the time. And you don't want to be blindsided when your contract is terminated, even if it's like for no reason, like the hospital is like, listen, we don't need this service anymore, and so we're going to terminate your contract. And you're like, man, like what's going on? What's the exit strategy? How am I protected legally? Now I have these claims made insurance and I got to get tail coverage. They're refusing to pay for tail coverage. I mean, you really have to think about these things. Usually in termination clauses, there is for cause and without cause. Ideally, you want to be terminated without cause, meaning both parties agree. They said, hey, Dr. Akaranu, we don't really need psychiatric services anymore. We've hired somebody permanent, so we no longer have need for a temporary independent contractor. Fine. I'm happy for them. I'm absolutely happy for them. I'm glad they have someone permanent. So we go our separate ways, we part amicably, and that's it. And they give you your 30-day notice or 60-day notice. I finish out my shifts within those 30 days and I'm off the hook. That's ideally what you want. To be terminated without cause. To be terminated with cause, that means you did something and the hospital don't want you there anymore. They can terminate you immediately. So if they find out something that is a breach of contract, and you need to read your contract to know what is considered a breach of contract, they can terminate you with cause, and you can also terminate with cause. So let's say they breach the contract on their end. I can come back and say, hey, this is not what we discussed. For that reason, you have breached the contract and I am terminating effective immediately. Please, this is why your termination clause and your exit clause in your contract is so important. To me, it's more important than the pay. So I could take a lower salary if I feel that the rest of the contract truly is beneficial to me. I might take a pay cut for that. So this is something you want to really think about when you're signing these contracts. Again, I'll keep saying this. I'm not a contract lawyer. Please discuss with a contract lawyer. And I'll put a disclaimer on the screen because this is just something that I've learned through my experience. This is for educational and informational purposes. Feel free to send me messages, comments. I'll do my best to answer, but I'll keep directing you to a contract lawyer. Read through the contract, and then everything you want to edit or everything you want to negotiate, just send one email with everything. That way you tell them everything up front. You talk about it. Usually they'll be like, can we talk on the phone? Absolutely. They go through everything with you, and then they send you an email of what they can and cannot do, and then you go from there. So that way you're not going back and forth. People get tired when you just go back and forth and it just feels like you're arguing. You know what I mean? So don't do that. But a lot of things are negotiable. Always protect your license. Always protect your license. If something doesn't feel safe, something doesn't sound safe, they're asking you to do things that sound fishy, don't do it. If you're uncomfortable supervising non-physician practitioners, don't do it. If you're not comfortable, you're not comfortable. Let them find a psychiatrist who is comfortable. Somebody maybe with more experience, somebody who has done it before, somebody who's willing to do it again. Yeah, let them find a psychiatrist that suits their needs. And you find a job that suits your needs. I think that smaller rural hospitals really do benefit from locum tenens psychiatrists that wouldn't otherwise consider going to those places. And then once you're there and you realize, wow, I actually like this, you can actually sign on to become a permanent staff, become a W-2 employee if the contract negotiations work out. So that's always something to think about for locum tenens work. Lastly, I wanted to talk about licensing and credentialing requirements. Again, that's different for each hospital facility. If you go through a locum tenens staffing agency, they typically help you with that. That's really where they shine, to be quite honest. They kind of just take over and do a lot of those things for you. Sometimes they help you fill out the forms and then you review and sign. So each licensing and credentialing steps, it includes getting a state license, getting hospital privileges. You need to start these processes very early, especially getting state licenses. When I was still a fellow, I started getting multiple state licenses, knowing that I wanted to do locum tenens work, right? So when I was a resident, I got state license in my state where I did residency. I got a state license where I did fellowship, and then I started getting a state license in other states where I was looking at jobs. So right now I have multiple state licenses and I'm still applying for more. So you want to start early because it can take up to 6 months to get a state license depending on the state. And it can also take 3 to 6 months to get credentialed to get hospital privileges. So you want to start early. You want to be organized. You want to have a folder where you put all your important documents so that whenever they ask you, you can give it to them. So I'm going to stop right here and I'm going to pull up my current documents folder and I'll talk about that in the next video, okay? Because I really want to really touch on that because it's very important to stay organized and to stay ready. You know, stay ready so you don't have to get ready when doing locum tenens work. So I will see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.